people, welcome back to my channel. You guys just saw a glimpse of what it truly looks like for us to align our workouts with our nutrition. And if you're anything like me, you've probably spent countless hours in the gym pushing for that glute growth. But then you walk your sweet ass tushy out of the gym wondering if you're fueling your body enough to support all that training that you just did. For ages, literally we're talking years, I felt like I was guessing what I should be eating before and after those big sessions. In today's video, I'm going to take you through the ultimate roadmap that I have created from over the years to fuel my biggest glute session of the week. It's like I made a promise to myself years ago, I am going to make every rep and gain count. So in 2026, if that sounds like something you guys want to do, stick with me. So here is my pre-workout. As you can see, it looks freaking it looks so good. I get so excited. I've had this pre-workout for probably, I want to say without exaggeration, probably about 6 years with slight alterations. So what I've got here is essentially gluten-free flour mixed with vegan protein powder, cocoa powder, and then I put a bit of sea salt and decaf coffee in there to make this sort of like protein pudding. Now, the reason why that base is so good, number one, it's so easy. It's so incredibly easy, and especially getting up this early in the morning to go train, I want something easy to make, quick, I don't have to think about it, but also tastes amazing. Now, the reason why I chose the gluten-free flour is number one, I'm gluten-free myself, but you can just use rice flour, which is also gluten-free, or use alternatives like oats or porridge-based things like millet, buckwheat. It was a great alternative that I use sometimes. The reason why we want to choose these carbs in our pre-workout is they're going to give us a bundle of energy for our sessions, but choosing something like this as well is going to give you long-lasting energy. So I've got a good amount of carbs here, trying to aim for about half of my daily intake of carbs around my training. So obviously if you're eating 200 grams of carbs a day, you want to be shooting for around 100 grams of carbs around your training window as much as possible. So we've got that rice flour for the carbohydrates. Cocoa powder is really, really great, especially if you're around your menstrual cycle. So something to really add in. Also adds in great texture. And then I add the vegan protein powder for a good protein source for my workout. So making sure that I get a good slow distribution of the amino acids from the protein powder during my session. Not only that, it's going to keep me full. So fullness during your session is really important. You don't have to feel stuffed, but feeling full has helped me so much. And actually studies have shown that making sure that you don't feel really starving during a session actually helps the quality of your performance. So that's why I add in that protein. So roughly about 30 to 35 grams of protein here. Then I've got some dark chocolate from Healthy Fats. Do not miss out on this. Even the smallest bit of healthy fats within your pre-workout is ideal. I go for chocolate again. A few studies have shown that as a fat source within a pre-workout, because dark chocolate contains certain vitamins and minerals and components, it actually helps with blood flow slightly. So a great healthy fat source, and it tastes so good like with this. So melted chocolate on here tastes really good. Then I've got a handful of frozen raspberries. This is just personal preference. You can choose whatever fruit you want, but adding that fruit is going to help add a little bit of fiber, add some micronutrients for vitamins and minerals, but also help give volume to this meal. So personally, I'm a hungry person in the morning, so I add this in for extra volume. And a mixture with the carbs, right? So you have to remember fruit is also a carb as well as the gluten-free flour base. So I always try to go for a mixture of starchy, longer lasting, longer digesting carbohydrates alongside faster digesting carbohydrates within my pre-workout, so that my energy lasts during my session and I don't have that crash. And then I just did a egg white chocolate drizzle, and that's just personal preference. Again, it adds a little bit of protein, but it just makes it taste so good. And then the final secret hack that I do, and you need to start getting on, is salt. So salt on top of your pre-workout helps with blood flow, so it combines with water in your muscles. So it helps your pump, helps the blood flow, stops cramping, helps your contraction. So when you're doing hip thrusts, you can actually feel your glutes, you can feel your hamstrings, quads. So it's such a game changer. So just do a sprinkle of salt, don't knock it till you try it, alongside around 500 mils of water is such a good shout for your pre-workout. I'm gonna watch a bit of YouTube now and eat my pre-workout and then head to the gym, and I'm gonna take you guys along with me. Alright guys, I'm going to do a voiceover for this part because otherwise I'll get copyrighted, but I'm going to take you through my glute workout and how I maximise glute growth, some tips in my training, but also how I want you to structure your glute sessions to make sure you're maximising your results. So every single session, we're not doing any guesswork, you go in knowing that you're going to get those gains after that hard session. So when it comes down to maximising glute growth, your glutes need to grow by hitting the glute muscles in all the positions. So when you create your workout, you need to be making sure that it has a hinge pattern. So these are things like RDLs, a thrust or shortened position of the glute. So this is something like a hip thrust or even a back extension. You want a lunge variation, so something like a walking lunge, a reverse lunge, deficit reverse lunge. All of those are great variations. You want to include a unilateral movement. A lunge and unilaterals go hand in hand because obviously you're working the individual legs separately, which is really, really important. Make sure that we have no imbalance also so that you can focus on each leg. So both of them grow equally at each time, okay? Obviously with the unilateral movements, thinking like lunges or even single leg RDLs or single leg hip thrust, B stance hip thrust. And then the final thing that you want to make sure that you're including is isolation. So this is really where it's just a sprinkling on top. This isn't like your bread and butter. Your meat and your potatoes are your hinge movements, your thrust, your compound movements. But the sprinkling on top, the gravy type stuff, is your isolation of the glute. So this is your kickbacks, this is your adductor machine. But you really want to be making sure you're focusing on your compound movements as much as possible to ensure we grow the glutes, okay? The very first thing that I'm going to do in my glute workout is my warm-up. So this is so essential and do not miss this. Loads of people struggle with this and it is vital to actually grow your muscles, also to prevent you from injury so you can keep progressing. A lot of people don't realize that when it actually comes to your glute muscle, it's attached to your pelvis, it's attached to your hips. If your hips do not move well, you're going to notice there's going to be movement restriction. Your ability to progress or your ability to actually grow your glutes is going to be impacted because our hips and our glutes can't move in the ranges they want to. So the very first thing that I always start with is a mixture of dynamic and static warm-up. So these are going to be very, very well planned out depending on what I'm doing. I personally like to choose around 3 to 5 warm-ups before my session, spending around 10 to 15 minutes really making sure that my body is ready for these movements and warmed up. I always start off with a pigeon pose. I'm doing elevated pigeon pose on a bench here. You can do these on the ground, but this is to really relax the glute, get your hips opened up before you go into the session. You really want to be thinking about bringing that knee onto the bench, leaning into that knee. You're going to notice a massive stretch on that glute. Really want you to focus on taking deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth as you do this to get into a deeper stretch. Holding this for around 20 to 30 seconds and repeating on the other side. Second warm-up that I do is a hip flexor stretch. Again, the hip flexor is at the front of your hips, leading into your quads. Again, really essential. They help with movements like with lunges, etc., which obviously is important for glute growth. So what I'm doing here is go into a kneeling position. My back leg is elevated onto the bench. And what I'm going to do is sit into that kneeling position, standing really nice and tall with my torso upright. I want to imagine a string at the top of my head being pulled to the ceiling. And I want to basically think, and this sounds really funny, I want to be thinking about tucking my hips, drawing them under whilst I'm in that kneeling position. And as I do that, I'm going to take a deep breath in through my nose, 3 seconds. And then as I forcefully exhale through my mouth, I want to tuck my hips, and you should feel a really deep stretch in that front of your quad, which is going to get great movement, really relax that muscle, and it's honestly such an awesome stretch even if you're not doing leg day. I really recommend. Third warm up is a Jefferson curl. So this looks really funny, but don't bash it until you try it. My partner is a physio and this is awesome, and I would recommend even doing this on your upper body days as well. You're going to take a foam roller, place it in between your legs. You can do it above your knees or do it below your knees depending on where it feels comfortable, and you're just going to basically make sure that both feet are planted. A deep breath in. Again, you know I love the breathing, but this really, really helps your body to relax. You're gonna take a deep breath in, and you're gonna think about your spine curving down, almost like a banana peel being peeled down. You're gonna think about almost crunching down towards your knees to get movement in your spine. Imagine you are curving your spine vertebra by vertebra all the way down. As you do so, taking deep breaths. You should be thinking about gently tucking your hips as you do this to maintain a proper pelvis position. This allows your spine to move in ways it's meant to move. Your spine is meant to flex and extend. Now, the final warm-up that I do, and this is great for my girlies who have lower back pain in hip thrusts, in RDLs, or any reason that they have tight lower back hips. This is called a QL stretch. So essentially what you're gonna do is you're gonna stand against a wall or a squat rack like I'm doing here. And what I want you to do is take one hand and push it against the squat rack. That same side that you're pushing the arm into the squat rack, you're gonna bring that leg back, stretch into that side. You're gonna basically rotate and find a position where your hips are rotated ever so slightly as you push into that wall and push your hips back to find a stretch in your lower back / your abdominal. What I've been doing as of recently, because I have just finished a restoration phase to get my hips moving better and reduce any niggles with my partner who's a physio. Essentially, I love to do a few warm-up sets of the movements I'm gonna do. So I start off with some bodyweight hip thrusts, just focusing on my foot positioning, focusing on my glute contraction, and really finding some placement and I guess cues and isolation where I can really just do a few reps to get some blood pumped to my glutes so I can feel the stimulus, I can feel what it feels like to do that movement before I fully load it in the exercises that I'm about to do in my main session. If you struggle to feel your glutes, or you struggle with feeling your quads, for instance, before a session, doing something like this, which is just initial feedback, is really, really helpful. And I massively suggest doing this before you start to use any heavy loads or do your compound movements. Just to get a bit of blood flowing, get your muscle to mind connection, it really helps. So leading into our first exercise is the barbell RDL. So a great little hack for here is I want you to actually make sure that you set up the squat rack so that the barbell is at knee height. We're doing a heavy compound like RDLs. We don't want to be doing this off the ground unless it's a conventional deadlift, but this is not. This is our hinge part of the movement. I want to be making sure that I am not putting any energy into the setup apart from the movement itself. So by placing the barbell just above my knees, all I have to do is unrack it and step back. And this is what we want to do. We want to spend minimal time and minimal energy with the setup. We want all our energy to actually go into our working set so we can maximize glute growth. So you can see here, I've placed the barbell just above my knee and taking my time with my setup. We want to almost imagine going into the set. As soon as you go into it, you're locked in. Get a funky playlist, get into the zone. You want to be making sure that you go into the set, giving it your all. I take some time getting my wrist wraps. If you don't use straps already, really important to use these. Your lower body is a lot stronger than your upper body grip. So making sure you grab some wrist wraps is going to make a world of difference to your glute growth. Best way and the best cue I do is wrap it underneath and fold over. I actually want you to rev it like a car engine or rev it like a motorbike. This just ensures that it's really nice and tight around your wrist so those straps aren't going anywhere. As you can see, I'm taking 2 to 3 steps back and that's it. I'm not fiddling around. I'm not spending time holding that heavy weight. All you want to do is take minimal steps back away from the squat rack, standing with feet just under your hips. And then you want to gently take some time to set your hips in position. So I actually start this movement by taking some time to think about my bracing, think about tucking my hips, and then I go into the hinge. So I like to do around 2 to 3 sets of these barbell RDLs for 10 to 15 reps at the moment. I like to control the tempo down for 3 seconds. This just allows me to really focus on pushing my hips back, making sure my pelvis is stayed in position, and really, really focusing on getting that muscle to mind connection. These are really, really awesome. If you don't already, add a tempo in, a 3-second one with a 1-second pause at the bottom, just really allows us to emphasize that stretch on the glutes at the bottom before returning to the top. Moving into my thrust position of the glute, so my shortened position of the glute of the workout. So here I am doing a B stance dumbbell hip thrust. Now, a few little helpful tips of this is obviously one of my unilateral movements, so great if you struggle with one glute feeling stronger than the other, or you want to just focus on any imbalances. This is a really, really great movement to incorporate. So you want to make sure the setup is right. So there's a few things that I do this to maximize my glute growth. Number one is I actually place 2 plates underneath my feet, because we want to be making sure that we fully lock the glutes out at the top to get hip extension. So you want to think, when you do a hip thrust, you want almost like a tabletop flat surface of the torso with the knee, with the glute, with the upper back, okay? This is ensuring that you get full extension of the hips at the top. You're fully locking out the glutes, which is where real magic happens. That's where the glutes are under the most tension. So if you're noticing that the bench or the box that you're using is too high and you can't get that tabletop effect, just place a few plates underneath your feet just to elevate you up, so that we're getting that full extension at the top. I personally like to do 2 to 3 sets here of around 8 to 12 reps on each side, focusing on the control and the contraction at the top, and these are really, really awesome, so give these a go if you haven't already. Moving on to the third exercise of the session is my lunge variation. So this, I have chosen a walking lunge. These are awesome for hip stabilization, but also a bit of a dynamic movement. So you're most likely going to notice that you're not going to be able to lift as heavy in comparison if you were to do a static lunge, which can actually have its benefits time to time. So we want to be ensuring that obviously we are doing movements that we need in different phases. So I've chosen a walking lunge to help with stabilizing my hips, getting some movement through the hips, which is really important, going back to, as I mentioned at the start, getting and ensuring our hips move the way they want to move. So walking lunges are awesome. You're going to notice that you're not going to lift as heavy because, again, they are dynamic and they are tough. So a great cue that I like to do here is I really want you to imagine with walking lunges that you are walking and stepping on a train track. A lot of people get this wrong and they cross over their legs as they do the walking lunges. I don't want you to imagine it's a tightrope. Keep your feet separate, okay, like train tracks, so they don't cross over, so the hips are moving in the position they want to. As you step down into the lunge, I really want you to make sure that you are firmly placing your foot flat into the ground. You're not placing your weight onto your heel or the outer side of your foot. We want to be making sure that as we lunge down, our foot is fully planted into the ground and we have full foot pressure with the ground. As you come up from that lunge, to help with the glute connection, I almost want you to imagine you're going up as an escalator versus a lift. This just really, really helps with keeping the engagement in your glutes as you come out of that lunge. I like to complete 2 sets of 12 to 15 reps, so 12 to 15 reps on each side, taking around 90 seconds rest in between each set. Next, moving into my isolation part of this workout, I've actually gone for a quad isolation, but you can go for something like a kickback, a hyperextension, you could go for even adductor machine. This could be really, really great just to make sure that you finish off with isolating the glutes, but I've gone for a quad isolation, the leg extension machine. So here I'm doing 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps. I'm really, really focusing on the contraction at the top and the squeeze of the quad to really get some blood flow into the quad, but making sure that where it is at the hardest, I'm really thinking about the contraction in the quad. Now you can see I'm really, really bringing high intensity to every single movement that I'm doing. That's why I only need to do around 4 exercises with 2 to 3 sets being the maximum. If you're not already doing this, I really want you to challenge yourself to take your sets to failure. If you've never done this before, you're not sure what that looks like, I really want you to use this helpful cue. So number 1, I want you to make sure that you're doing a machine-based exercise first. So this could be a leg extension, a hamstring curl, even a adductor machine would be a really great place to start. And I want you to keep going and choose a weight that challenges you, that you think you'll go to failure within the rep range that you've got allocated. Now, even if you hit the rep range, I want you to make sure you do not stop just because it hurts or you're tired, right? We are trying to take that muscle to true muscular failure to ensure it grows. So what this looks like is, as you get to the end of that rep range, do not stop just because you're tired or fatigued or it's starting to burn. The moment that you think you're done with your set, think and imagine, and it sounds extreme, there's a gun to your head, and I want you to imagine, if this is true muscular failure, this gun is not going to go off, okay? That's it. But if you know that that physically your muscle has more, you're just tired or it burns and that's why you're stopping, that gun's gonna go off. I promise you that in isolation in the back of your head, sounds extreme, but I promise, try it in the moment that you wanna stop or re-rack that weight, and it will make the world of difference. Making sure I log my weights. If you don't do this already, this is an absolute game changer to ensure that you are progressively overloading in your exercises. So that is my session. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have any questions at all about your glute sessions or anything to do with glute growth, and I'd love to absolutely help you guys. That is session completed. It was pretty epic. Now it's time to head home and have post-workout. Back from the gym and post-workout is made. So you can see I've just got a massive bowl, well, a plate full of food here, and this is something I love to do even for dinners, not even just post-workout but for dinners. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I structure my pre and post-workout meals pretty much similar to all of my other meals. I want to be thinking about having a balanced plate as much as possible. So you can see I'm literally trying to eat as much of the rainbow as possible. That is just such a good way to get in as much micronutrients, as much vitamins and minerals as possible. When you think about how much color I can get onto my plate, essentially for my post-workout, what I've got, and I always start with my protein source first. You can see Denzel. So I always start around my protein source. So for here, I have cooked, air fried. So I've got air fried chicken breast. So I start with the protein source first, and that's always how I base my meal. So if you're ever struggling to hit your protein, always think, what is the protein source I'm gonna start with my meal? So great source of protein post-workout, quality protein, lean protein source. And then I think about post-workout, what carb sources am I gonna have? So carbs after you train is so important for so many reasons. When you go train, you are basically using glycogen stores in your muscle to power the lift. So when I was doing those RDLs, my muscle and the glycogen in my muscle come from carbohydrates. So when you consume carbohydrates, your body basically digests them. Think about it as like a battery power. It goes into your muscle tissue and it supplies the muscle with energy. So when I'm doing like the RDLs and those last reps where your legs are shaking, that is what carbs are helping you provide, is energy, okay? When we train, obviously, you're using that energy up, and then essentially after you've trained really hard, they're depleted. Your muscles are depleted. So getting a good source of carbohydrates in post-workout is vital. Do not miss this step. I see so many people, even my clients, come to me and they'll have just like a protein shake, because protein after you work out within half an hour is like always the must, right? No, carbohydrates are just as vital, because we want to replenish those stores to start the recovery process as quickly as we can. But also you're not going to feel really lethargic, you're not going to feel really sluggish or really burnt out. Recovery is going to be quicker, but also it aids muscle growth alongside obviously the protein, okay? If you just have protein alone, you'll notice that your muscles just feel depleted. So carbohydrates are really vital to restore the glycogen stores within your muscle tissue, okay? You can see I've just added loads of other different parts. I'm a big advocate for getting in fiber in every single meal, even around training. You don't want it super duper high. We're not talking like 20 grams of fiber, but having some variety of fruit and veg is really important. It's going to keep you fuller for longer as well as just getting in loads of vitamins and minerals. So you can see here I've got a little bit of tinned sweet corn, I've got some air fried cabbage, Savoy cabbage with olive oil, sea salt and onion granules. I don't know why, but I've got such a kick for it at the moment. I've got a good handful of salad leaves. This is just for food volume because I'm a super hungry person. Then I've just got some sugar snap peas, which are really high in vitamins. And then finally, last but not least, a fat source. So I have actually got a fat source here. Loads of people won't have a fat source, but it is really helpful to slow digestion down so you don't spike your blood sugar levels and have a sort of deep crash. It just means that this meal is going to be a lot more satiating. So after you have it, you're not going to be wanting to reach for something within half an hour or hour later. You're actually going to be full after you eat your post-workout meal and you can get on with your day, versus feeling like you need to have another thing to eat, right? Because you have to remember, hunger can spike when you weight train, which is very normal. So we want that healthy fat source. So I've picked hummus. I've got caramelized onion hummus, topped with a little bit of bagel seasoning from New York Trader Joe's when we went. And I've just got a bit of ketchup, and that is literally my post-workout meal all done and dusted. I literally put it in the air fryer. I usually go and go have a shower when it's in the air fryer. Well, this is just all cooking. Less than 20 minutes, I swear to God. Ninja air fryer, the 10-in-1 speedy, absolute game changer. Like, if you have not got it, absolute game changer. Like, this was all done in under 20 minutes. Perfection. So I'm gonna go eat this now, and then I'll clock back in with you guys with a little bit of a final tip. And that is my pre and post workout nutrition all completed. Glute session absolutely hammered, and I know that my body's fueled. So that's all for today's video, because we are fueled, we are trained, and we're ready to go for the day. So if you guys did like this, please drop it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. So many of you guys that watch my videos aren't yet subscribed. So if you do, I absolutely love you, because genuinely my goal for this year is to grow this page and help more people, as well as build a community. So if you guys did enjoy this, I do massively appreciate it. But other than that, I will catch you in next week's video on Sunday. Have an awesome, awesome week.